Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be discussing the illusion of power and the collective mission for the next 20 years through this Pluto and Aquarius transit and the problem and the solution. Now, I've been throwing this idea around for quite some time now. So I just wanted to give another perspective and example and go a little bit deeper into it because when I come on here doing the astrology videos, I do try to just focus on the astrology. But we all know that Pluto stands for power, your personal power, the power that you give away, your energetic fields, and how you have to protect that, the importance of protecting that, and how that allows you to stand firm in chaos and upheaval, right? Because a strong Pluto person has the ability to stand firm in the face of chaos or turbulence, stress, upheaval. And when you lack that, that's when you kind of dip into that Pisces energy where you become that victim or even jealous from the Pisces perspective. If we just stick to Pisces energy, what happens is over time, you get envious, jealous, hateful, and that turns into victim mentality, which is Pisces, where you start to feel like, um, somebody's doing something to you and you don't have any control over that. Um, that starts with having a weak um protection of your energy and a strong knowing of who you are, right? And so, you know me, I'm always listening to Dr. Boyce Watkins. I absolutely love his freaking face. And he was doing a live talking about how Stacey Abrams got a position at Howard. And I love the way he broke it down that we are kind of always in this position of celebrating each other and one another, especially if you go over on LinkedIn. It's super blatant over there. Anytime somebody gets a job or has some kind of connection with a politician or a person of seen of high value or what have you. And this is not about job shaming, by the way. These are just the hardcore facts. It's a true fact that these things happen. And we are all black girl magic. I made it. I'm successful. Um, but you know, we don't have any independent power. It's borrowed power, meaning I am somebody because I got a high position. I'm a politician, or I graduated from a good college. But we're still begging, borrowing, angry, frustrated, and can't get our own people jobs, businesses, and solve problems in our communities because of the illusion of power. We are funded by quote unquote the man behind the curtain, which I really want to stop giving them that name because it's giving them power and that's also just not good, right? But for the sake of this conversation, you know, the people giving us the jobs are the ones who have the real power because they create the jobs, and that's where we want to transfer this power from and um to change this idea of illusion of power, because with Pluto and Aquarius, it says it wants us people to gain power. But I'm telling you right now, there's always two sides of a coin. And if we don't figure out how to take that power back, then it's going to look like the AI, um, the possibility of living in a third world country. And we might even have to sacrifice to get, and it gets there in order to get to where I'm talking about, but essentially it shouldn't stay there, right? Um, so you know, we have a very strong possibility of this going in their favor if we continue to just live our lives allowing them to believe that they have all the power and that we're just not going to do anything about it, right? Um, and so essentially, we have borrowed power. That's the problem. That's the problem that needs to be solved. Meaning, if we try to tackle real issues now that we got this high paying position or this high valued position um, and success and, all these other things. Um, if we try to tackle real issues, we get fired. You see these types of things all the time. We can use a few different examples. Um, or they make us apologize. They make us go on the apology tour, right? Where they'll kind of threaten us to take our contracts away. Um, and say, if we don't do A, B, and C, or take that back or say sorry, we're not going to get that high paid position anymore and things of that nature, right? And so this is the proof that this is an illusion of power because we're working underneath the guise, laws, expectations of someone else's power. It's not ours, right? And so we have to really break free from that karmic debt. We need to turn that karma around. And so if we are true believers of as above, so below, as within, so without, then we have to understand that that's happening in all areas of life. This is why I'm always saying, it's you can't just retract from the 3D, right? Because you'll see a lot of people talking about like I don't want to be a part of this 3D world, and I do too. I do too. I'm not throwing shade or anything like that. But we do this as a community, not understanding that we are blocking our progression when we do that. We have to go through the problem. We can't go under it. We can't go above it. We can't scoot side. We can't take shortcuts. We have to go through it as by way of Saturn. Saturn don't you can't build a strong or successful process structure without um, if you're taking shortcuts, right? And so this is why it's so important to know the entirety of your chart and not just your personal astrology, even just your big three. This is right now where we're at, this is way bigger than just you and your personal astrology. It's time to learn the entirety of the astrology, right? And so if we are big believers in that spiritual practice, that's the foundation. That doesn't change for anybody. Anybody who wants to succeed and do something, they have to go through that process. They have to be influenced by the stars, right? And allow that to work within them, internalize that, master that, understand that, perfect that per Saturn, right? And then project that out into the world and manifest your destiny. A really good example to use, and I think I've talked about this before when I talked about Pisces energy and understanding how America has gotten away with what they've gotten away with so far is through the entertainment industry because they play all of our movies and all of our stories, and that's the way they're telling the truth, right? But it's up to us to see that truth and be like, oh shit, that's me. and take that, own it, stand within that, and again, manifest on top of that idea or belief. And so, as much as we might not want to admit it, they're not necessarily doing anything wrong. They're playing offense and defense. And we have to be able to see their tells and play offense and defense if we want to get past this karmic battle that we have going on between us, right? And so, another really recent example to use is BRICS and how they're going through this war, if you will, around money. And so even if you go back um, years, they've been going through or building this power over other people, right? And so BRICS are some of the people retaliating from them gaining this power. And essentially, when those countries were in those positions, those weren't countries that were very rich in any way, in any sense of the form. They had a lot of problems, which is why they agreed to work with America in so many different ways, because America has been seen as the end all be all for a really long time and holding this power, this position of power for a really long time. And so essentially, they believed in connecting with these people of power that they would get some kind of reprieve from that. And I'm sure that they have over time, over all these years. And what they were able to do is build up their country, build up their equity, build up their value, build up their capital, right? And now that they've done that, they want to break free from this power, right? And they want to create their own power. They don't want the illusion of power anymore. They don't want to be behind the scenes anymore. They don't want to get the job and be screaming black girl magic, I'm successful, when still they have some problems and things in their country that they can't fix because of one reason or another, right? And so that whole ideology is as above, so below, as within, so without. They're making power plays, and we need to start doing the same thing, both in our personal lives and build that into a collective mission for the next 20 years. And so, what's the solution? Don't wait to get a job to validate helping your people. Grassroots efforts are some of the purest ways to gain recognition from your people. For example, I thought of NOI, which is the Nation of Islam, because I feel like they're the most hated, but you can still see how much respect they get because people see them um, in the communities doing the work, and they understand and know what their purpose and mission is. You understand? And so, um, for example, if it came down to making a decision between choosing a high paid person and NOI, everybody's going to choose NOI. They're not going to go with the high paid person, because how many times have we been lied from these people about what they're going to fix and resolve, and we're still in the same situation? Meanwhile, NOI they have farms, they have, they're building communities. They have back and behind them. You know what I'm saying? They have an army. They have the things that we need to further uh, build off of right now as a strong community base. And so people will believe in you when they physically see you putting in the work and doing what it takes to make real change in the world, right? And on a personal level, and this can get real petty and just completely take away from the whole purpose and of the conversation, which we tend to do a lot. And we can have the argument that, we can't trust people, or we shouldn't have to show people. But looking at it from a bigger, more mature perspective, we also have to understand that we've been hurt. They've taken a lot from us. So it's not just an illusion of power that we're struggling with. We're also dealing with the psychological conditioning, lack of education, of true education of who we really are and how to solve real problems. Um, and that can take an effect on people over the years. And that's what we're really arguing when we're arguing that even if it is irrelevant, it needs to be addressed, right? You got to acknowledge those things out loud. That's the process of healing. That's the first step to healing is acknowledging that there is actually a problem and it is very fucking real. However, we are at a very important time right now where it's not time to have that conversation. We're just going to have to take the strongest people right now who get this mission to get on track and start somewhere. Start putting in the work, start building the grassroots programs, getting to know people in your community, making friendships, whatever it is that you have to do to um, get people to see that you've changed. For example, I talk about this all the time. Um, what was I, about 25, 26? I got locked up, and I promise you, I became public enemy number one. Nobody liked me. And a lot of people made that decision about me without even having come to me and saying, hey, what really happened? They don't care. All they see is you can't be trusted. You're doing things or something that doesn't deserve my respect, right? And so I had to build my respect back up. And you can do this in multiple different ways. This could be playing out in your life. It can be personally, it can be through a job, and we have to start there because that's just where we're at, respectfully, right? Um, and through education. And so this was a part of my journey of building my respect back. I had to go to school and make changes in my life. And then my son and my children started to see it, why it's important to be respectful and live in a honorable kind of lifestyle, if you will. And then I got better with keeping a job and building respect within my jobs and being able to have people that I could go back to. And I didn't just stop at education, meaning like college is the answer, because we know good and well all that is a bunch of debt, right? But I also went to a whole bunch of certificate programs. I promise you, ask about me. They know me around these streets. I've been to every single one. I promise you, I didn't miss a beat, and I gained my respect that way. Um, I've also gained my respect from my family, seeing how much I've grown and changed throughout the years. And um and now I'm working on doing that through this process here. And so, again, this could be taking place with you in any area of your life, depending on where you're at. Maybe you already have a real strong community base, family base, as good as you can, because that one's a deep one. And as you are building this, um, what happens is you gain this kind of uh recognition. Um, and as you're doing that, it's also important to make sure you're doing the same thing on the side without talking about it is your capital base. Now, again, this is in all different forms. You need capital, you need your own capital, and you also have to be saving off for your children if you have them, and just a general capital, right? And it's important to do that as you build this process because you need money to expand your skills and talents. And once you master your skills and talents and have a financial stability, again, people begin to see the work that you put in and they'll want to help you build, whether through donations or you're hiring them. I talked about this, I believe, in my last video where I talked about we have to expand this idea of just being self-employed, or else we're going to trap ourselves again, right? And so wherever this is playing out or however this is playing out for you, it's going to be different for everybody. Then you start to hire people so that you can expand. It's also word of mouth and your social media connects and networks. And now you're on your own and you have your own sovereign power. And as your capital continues to grow, you can expand to other companies and countries. Now you don't have to get permission to solve real problems for your community. You can start the business or program, and people will show up. It's the same storyline about what's going on with BRICS right now. It's the same exact thing, that theory, that theme, as above, so below, as within, so without, never changes, right? And now that you have this well-ran system, suddenly it creates time for you to invest in your children's education and lifestyle. And the younger they start, the hard process you had to endure, you inadvertently change a whole culture of people growing up from the start, knowing how to solve problems and not have to depend on others, giving them the false perception power. And that's what the next mission is for all of us that we need to overcome. We have to have this kind of understanding, and we will, whether we see it or not. Just look at your Pluto, your Aquarius area of life. I'd say Pluto and Capricorn, they're playing out simultaneously because Aquarius, um, the ancient ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. So Saturn is still heavily being played out here. We got some work to do. It's not going to be easy. And I even think this is going to stretch far beyond 20 years, but um, I think it's going to start now. And we have a lot of support from that in the sky. And so if you want your weekly astrology family, please be sure to click the link below or check the website out. Remember, if you go to the website, you have to have a laptop or else you're not going to see all of the features on the website to get the services you need. Maybe I'll make a link to Patreon. I think I do have a link straight to the weeklies on my Patreon, for my Patreon on my link tree. Um, so that you can go directly to the weeklies where I do weekly astrology specific to you and your chart. So you know how to play with this energy. And you also have access to ask me questions at any given time. What should I be doing? How should I be working this out? And, start this process now. We have a great opportunity, even though it might seem like we don't, if that is an illusion. This is offense right now. We should be playing offense right now to build up a strong defense. So I hope that you guys found this information helpful. As usual, I love and appreciate you. Peace.